So I get questions all the time about how to control emotions in trading. Should I try to control my emotions in trading? How to be more aware of my emotions in trading? If you've ever wondered one of those three questions or any question about how to better be an emotionally balanced trader, then this little reading is going to be hopefully beneficial to you. So this comes from Exceptional Trading, The Mind Game. This is one of Ruth Barons Roosevelt's books. This is from chapter 4. She says emotions are messengers. She basically is explaining how each emotion has a functionable attribute. That's how she describes it. So she says, the positive emotions tell you that something is right, to pay attention to what you have, and to keep doing what you're doing. Many people are afraid to allow themselves to feel the joyful emotions, such as love, excitement, rejoicing, confidence, satisfaction, or gratitude, because they're afraid they won't last and they'll be disappointed. Who's been there, afraid to feel an emotion because you know it won't last, right? To this, she goes, I would say life's fleeting joys are wonderful highlights that lead the way to more. You tend to get more of what you pay attention to. You're also establishing memories that you can hook into later to make your future more rewarding. If your trading is going well, you let yourself feel good about it. Don't just lose discipline. Don't lose clear vision of what the market is doing price-wise. The positive memory will give you strength when the inevitable drawdown does occur. So then she goes on to say, positive emotions are messages that things are as we want them. To notice and invite and explore and develop positive emotions is to put yourself on the course for personal power. She also says negative emotions are a call to action to change something. As such, they are a vital sign to your well-being and should not be ignored. So she doesn't want you to ignore negative emotions in your trading. That would be foolish, she's saying, because it's telling you that something needs to change. For example, she says a functional attribute of regret or remorse is a signal that you could have done something differently in the past. It appraises you to do something different in the future. This is called learning from mistakes and is an important part of trading. She also says a functional attribute of anger is a message that somebody else is violating your standards, and you need to do something to stop this in the future. If you're furious with the slippage and speed of your entries, you may need to get a new broker or communicate in such a way that corrects this situation. So those are just a few examples of the functionality, the functional attribute of the emotions. Now she goes on to say, and this is where we actually put some of that beautiful language to work, because I know some of that there was like, it just sounds good. Like, how are we actually applying this, Austin? So she goes on to explain why we need to set up what she calls generative chains for emotions. She says the natural evolution for most people upon feeling a seriously negative emotion would be to link a set of ever-intensifying negative emotions. For example, if a person begins to feel overwhelmed, that leads them to feeling inadequate, that leads them to feel hopeless, and that leads them to feeling depressed. You see how they all link together? Another example would be a trader having a losing trade and feeling disappointed, then imagining that he'll lose the next trade and the next and feeling discouraged, and then imagining losing all of his trading capital and feeling fearful. If he's not careful, he can take it even further. He can imagine losing his wife, his house, and end up homeless. And this all goes to the point of she's saying, whatever you think about, you tend to attract. So it's really important to stay positive. And when you have these negative emotions, to cut the chain off and not tie them together and not go down what you would call the rabbit hole. So how do you do that? You build one of these generative chains. So first, she says, recognize the emotion and identify just exactly what it is you are feeling. For example, are you feeling uncertain or are you feeling fearful? Are you feeling frustrated or are you feeling discouraged? If you're feeling frustrated, you're still in the game. If you're feeling discouraged, you may be on the verge of giving up. That's step 1. Step 2, acknowledge and appreciate the emotion, realizing that every emotion, no matter how negative, has the functionable attribute. Pay attention to the functionable attribute of the emotion that you're feeling. That's step 2. Step 3, get curious about what action needs to be taken. Step 4, remember a time in the past when you effectively handled a similar situation. Replay that in your mind so you can build confidence. Step 5, in your imagination, go into the future and play out a successful conclusion to the situation. And 6, take action based upon the prior steps. This puts you in control. When you have a sense of control over your actions in your future, the negative emotions begin to dissipate. So let me run you through one example, and then I'm going to stop reading from this book, and you're going to have to go buy it to read for yourself. So she has generative chains for regret, generative chains for anxiety, all these different ideas of how you can lay it out. And then she explains the structure of the emotions. But we're going to go into the structure of emotions a different day. I'll share that a different day. Let's just talk about the generative chain for anxiety. Step 1, you would recognize that you're feeling anxious. Step 2, you would remember that feeling anxious is a signal. Remember, that functionality is a signal to you that there is something in your future for which you need to better prepare. And feel respect and appreciation for that emotion as a vital signal. So don't get mad at yourself for being anxious. Appreciate yourself for knowing that you still need to prepare for something that is causing that anxiety. Step 3, with a feeling of curiosity, evaluate what you need to do better to prepare. Ask a lot of questions. This may involve gathering information to fill your picture in the future, marshaling or acquiring certain skills, or even establishing a positively stated outcome. Now, number 4, you would recall examples from your past when you have done what you need to do to meet the future challenge or threat, feeling reassured as you recall the memories of your capability. You've done it before, so just replay that in your mind. You've been through a situation like that before. Step 5, imagine yourself in the future preparing to meet the future challenge or threat. See it in your head. Repeat the rehearsal until you feel confident about your ability of what you need to do. And then step 6, move ahead with your trading, employing your rehearsed technique even as you remain alert to potential future feedback. A lot of value in that section. I hope that you were listening. I hope that you were taking notes. Definitely go grab the book, Exceptional Trading, The Mind Game from Ruth Barons Roosevelt. Just being aware of why we don't want to ignore emotions and why we want to use them as functionable trigger signals, almost just like an entry signal, is a huge leap forward that you can make in your own trading that most amateur traders don't even want to address. So I highly recommend you guys go grab the book.